At 6.
Welcome back. Well, if you need a reminder, Father's Day is tomorrow, Sunday, June 16th. It's a time to acknowledge the father or father figure in your life, but fatherhood can come in many forms. So joining us now with a special message is just in time for Foster Youth's Chief Empowerment Officer, Don Wells. Don, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, we want to kick it off really just hearing about your story and what first inspired you to even become involved with the foster program.
Well, that's a great question. I had no real ambition about working with a nonprofit. Didn't think about it when I was growing up. But what happened was I was actually in the television business. I was the creative services director at another station here in town. And when the Columbine shootings happened, I was hearing all about how there was a lack of mentors and father figures for a lot of young men. So I said I was going to start a campaign to recruit 1,000 mentors by Father's Day that year. And since I was asking other people to do it, I did it myself. I started mentoring a young man who was 9 when I met him. His sister joined in. She was 8 at the time. And as I started to mentor them, they went into the foster care system. And I started to get a much better understanding of what that meant for them. So I stayed connected to them since then. That was back in like 1998.
Late 90s, right? Yeah.
And so actually the young woman, she was 8 when I met her. A couple of years ago when she turned 31, we actually adopted her. My wife and I adopted her. So I didn't have any children of my own, but I had a great father who taught me what being a father figure was like, and so I've tried to do that for other young people.
Absolutely. Well, you embody what it means to be a father, even if they're not biologically yours. Right. So what does this holiday mean to you after such a special and lasting relationship?
Well, the thing that I try to impress is that it's what you said. It's not about being a biological father. It's about being a father to the community. And what I try to talk to people about is we have these young people who are in foster care, and they're disconnected from their biological family. They're in care, they're still disconnected while they're in care because they get moved around to different placements. And when they leave care, they're still disconnected, and nobody does well if they're disconnected. So for us, what we do at Just in Time is create a community of support, and that means that we need volunteers who come and provide that connection. Fathers, mothers who come in, they provide those connections, sense of belonging, and everybody needs to know that there's somebody who cares about them. Mm-hmm. We talk about, we call it the 3 a.m. call. Everybody needs to know there's somebody they could call at 3 a.m. who would answer the phone.
And we're looking at beautiful pictures of her. Is it Belen? Is that how I say her name?
Belen.
What can you tell us about maybe what she's shared with you over the years of what this has meant to her, what you've meant to her? I wish we could just talk to her, but I'm sure she's shared it with you at some point.
Well, as our relationship continued, and again, 3 years after I met her, she was at my house. We were watching Shrek because it was one of her favorite movies. And she turned to me in the middle of the movie and she said, "Why are you still here?" Because in her life, somebody being in her life for 3 consecutive years was not her reality. And I thought to myself, no young person should be asking why an adult is still in their life. So that's the sensibility I took to Just in Time, saying we're going to provide all kinds of resources. We provide things like furniture if you move into your first apartment, get your driver's license, financial literacy, going to college. All those things we provide, but it's all based on the idea that if you're connected, all those things work better. And if you're disconnected, it doesn't matter how many resources you get. Human beings don't do well when they're disconnected. And I think we can all think of stories we've heard about somebody who came from a rich family and they're totally a mess because they didn't really have a connection.
That connection, yeah. The impact you've made and so many others who have been involved, I'm sure, is just immeasurable. Right. Wrap it up for us and tell us how people can help out, because that's the important part of how this can continue.
So we serve about 3,000 young people annually. And we have about 650 plus volunteers because everything we do, there's a volunteer connected to. So we're always looking for more volunteers. You can go to our website, which is jitfosteryouth.org, and learn how you can support as a volunteer or funding, whatever makes it work as our community.
Perfect. Of course, we don't want to see the organization go anywhere. Thanks for all the hard work you do and for being here. And happy Father's Day to you. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it.
All right, Don, thanks.